There's something powerful about walking away and genuinely moving on, not to provoke, not to get a reaction, but because you've finally chosen yourself. And when a woman sees that shift in you, believe me, she feels it deeply, whether she shows it or not. When a woman sees that you've genuinely moved on, one of the first and most profound feelings she experiences is the realization that she has been replaced. This feeling doesn't necessarily come from a place of bitterness or anger at first. Rather, it stems from an unexpected shock. For a long time, she may have believed that she held a special place in your life, maybe even thinking that no one else could ever take her spot. There's a kind of comfort in knowing that someone remains emotionally tethered, even if the relationship itself was complicated or ended poorly. But when she suddenly notices that you have moved forward, that your life no longer revolves around her or the memories you once shared, it disrupts that comfort. She realizes that you are no longer waiting, no longer holding on to hope for reconciliation or second chances. This realization can lead to a confusing swirl of emotions inside her. She might begin to question the validity of her previous assumptions. Was she really as important as she thought? Did she underestimate what she meant to you? And then there's the sting of jealousy. Seeing you with someone new, or simply thriving in your independence, can feel like a punch to the gut because it highlights what she has lost. It's not just about the fact that you're with someone else. It's about the fact that you've chosen yourself and your happiness without her. This choice is a subtle yet powerful message. She is no longer the center of your world, and that acknowledgement is difficult to swallow. The feeling of being replaced is also tied to the human need for significance and validation. Everyone wants to feel valued and irreplaceable, especially in matters of the heart. When a woman sees that you've moved on, it's as if the narrative she had written about your relationship, where she was essential, needed, and cherished, is suddenly rewritten. That story she told herself about your connection no longer holds true, and that creates a deep sense of loss. Sometimes this can manifest as a longing to reclaim what once was, not necessarily because she wants you back, but because she wants to reclaim that sense of importance she felt she had. Moreover, this feeling of being replaced is often wrapped in a quiet regret. She may start to reflect on her own actions, wondering if she had pushed you away or taken your presence for granted. The realization that someone else has stepped into the space she left behind can trigger a sense of urgency, making her rethink decisions or moments she now wishes she could change. It's a reminder that time moves on, and opportunities for connection are not endless. Yet this regret often comes too late, because by the time she fully understands what she's lost, you've already begun a new chapter of your life. Ultimately, the feeling of being replaced when a woman sees that you've moved on is a complex mix of confusion, jealousy, loss, and regret. It challenges her sense of self-worth and forces her to confront the reality that life and love do not stand still. This emotional upheaval can be painful, but it also serves as a powerful indicator that you have reclaimed your power and your peace. When a woman sees that you've moved on and are no longer emotionally available to her, it often strikes at her ego in a way that can be deeply unsettling. For many, relationships are not only about love and companionship, but also about the subtle balance of power and validation. When she once held your attention, your time, and your emotions, it gave her a sense of control and importance in your life. Being the one you reached out to, the one who mattered, reinforced her value not just to you, but in her own eyes. However, when you step away and stop being that source of validation, it shakes the foundation of her ego. This blow to the ego isn't just about pride, it's about identity. She may have built part of her self-worth on the fact that you needed her, thought about her, and stayed connected with her. When you move on, that role disappears, and she's left to question what she means to you now. The silence and absence you create when you move on speak louder than any argument or confrontation could. It's a quiet but powerful message that she is no longer the person you turn to or think about, and that can bruise her self-esteem deeply. There's also the uncomfortable realization that she no longer has a guaranteed place in your life. She may have taken for granted that you would always be there, waiting or reachable, ready to respond to her when she needed you. Now, that certainty is gone. This loss of guaranteed access to your time and attention means she has to confront the reality that her influence over you has diminished. That can trigger feelings of insecurity and doubt, leading her to wonder if she ever truly understood how much she meant to you, or if she underestimated your ability to let go. The way the ego reacts to this loss can vary widely depending on the woman's personality and emotional maturity. Some may react with denial, trying to convince themselves that you haven't really moved on or that you'll come back eventually. Others might lash out, either directly or indirectly, as a way to reassert control or provoke a response from you. Still, others might retreat inward, dealing with the ego hit quietly but feeling a deep sense of personal failure or inadequacy. Regardless of the reaction, the common thread is that the ego struggles to accept that it no longer holds sway over you. This ego blow is compounded when she sees you thriving without her. Watching you grow stronger, more confident, or happier after she's no longer part of your life can be a difficult sight. It's a living proof that you didn't just survive the breakup or separation. You flourished. And that fact can feel like a direct challenge to her pride. It raises uncomfortable questions in her mind about what she lost and what you found that she couldn't provide. This comparison often ignites a quiet turmoil, a conflict between wanting to be happy for you and feeling hurt by the fact that you no longer need her. At its core, the way the ego feels when a woman sees you've moved on is about losing a position of importance and influence. It's about realizing that the person she once had an emotional hold on has freed himself, and that freedom signals a loss of power for her. The emotional pain that comes from this is not just about love or heartbreak. It's about identity, control, and the challenge of accepting that her role in your life has fundamentally changed. This realization forces her to confront uncomfortable truths about herself and the relationship, and that process can be both humbling and transformative. When a woman sees that you have moved on, one of the most common emotional responses is that she begins replaying the past over and over in her mind. This isn't a casual or fleeting remembrance. It's a deep, often relentless mental revisiting of the moments you once shared, the conversations you had, the laughter, the arguments, and everything in between. This replaying serves many psychological functions, but primarily it's a way for her to try to make sense of the present by revisiting the past. It's almost as if her mind is searching for answers or clues that she missed while the relationship was still ongoing. She tries to understand where things went wrong, what could have been done differently, or if she really appreciated you the way she should have. This mental loop can be painful because it often comes with a mixture of nostalgia and regret. She might remember your kindness, your strengths, and the ways you made her feel special, and then juxtapose those memories with the cold reality that you have moved on without her. This contrast sharpens the sense of loss. The memories that once brought comfort now bring a bittersweet ache. They remind her not just of what was, but of what she might have lost forever. The more she replays these moments, the more she can feel the weight of missed opportunities, mistakes, or moments of negligence that she now wishes she could undo. Replaying the past is also a subconscious way of trying to regain control. When the present feels uncertain and her place in your life is gone, she turns to what she can grasp, the memories. But because memory is selective and often idealized, she might remember the relationship through a rose-colored lens, emphasizing the good and downplaying the bad. This can create a confusing emotional tug-of-war. On one hand, she might feel genuine affection for the past. On the other hand, the very act of replaying it highlights the finality of your moving on, making the pain even more pronounced. In some cases, this replaying can lead her to idealize you and the relationship, almost romanticizing the connection in hindsight. She might start to believe that you were the one who got away, or that the relationship was more meaningful than she allowed herself to see at the time. This idealization can amplify feelings of regret and longing. It can also make her reluctant to fully let go, because part of her clings to the hope that what you had might be recreated or salvaged. This mental rehearsal isn't just about what was lost, but about the possibility of reclaiming it, even if that possibility is slim or non-existent. At the same time, the replaying can force her to confront uncomfortable truths about her own behavior and the dynamics that led to the relationship's end. She might remember moments when she pushed you away, took you for granted, or failed to communicate effectively. These realizations can be humbling and painful, especially if she genuinely cared for you but made mistakes that cost her the relationship. This process can trigger feelings of guilt, shame, or sorrow, but it can also be a catalyst for personal growth if she chooses to learn from those memories rather than get stuck in them. This mental revisiting of the past also impacts how she views your current state. Watching you move on and thrive while she's still caught in the memories can create a stark contrast that intensifies her emotions. It's a reminder that time didn't stop for either of you, but your paths have diverged. While she might still be trapped in what was, you have stepped into what is and what will be. This disparity between her mental fixation on the past and your forward momentum can be a difficult pill to swallow. It underscores the reality that the relationship and the version of you she knew are gone, replaced by someone new, someone stronger, and someone independent. In essence, the act of replaying the past when she sees you've moved on is a complex and often painful process. It's not simply about nostalgia, it's a psychological attempt to understand, cope, and sometimes reclaim what was lost. It reveals the depth of the impact you had on her life, but also the challenge she faces in accepting that chapter has closed. This mental rehearsal is a double-edged sword, offering moments of warmth and sorrow, clarity and confusion, while ultimately forcing her to face the finality of your moving on. When a woman sees that you've moved on, especially if she was the one who walked away or if there was conflict or neglect on her part, she often begins to question her decisions deeply. This process of questioning can be both conscious and subconscious, but it usually starts with a seed of doubt that quickly grows into a full-blown emotional and mental struggle. She begins to wonder if she made the right choice by leaving, or if she underestimated what she had with you. This isn't just about guessing the breakup itself. It's about reevaluating everything she thought she knew about the relationship, about you, and about herself. The fact that you've moved on and seem happier without her becomes a stark contrast to her own emotional state, and it makes her question her judgment. This questioning can take many forms. She might look back on specific moments and analyze them with a new perspective, realizing that perhaps she didn't appreciate your efforts, or that she was too quick to walk away when things got difficult. The emotional turmoil created by these thoughts can be intense because it forces her to confront mistakes she made or times she failed to see your value. She might ask herself why she didn't fight harder to keep you, or why she let pride, fear, or uncertainty push her away. This self-reflection is often painful because it exposes vulnerabilities and insecurities she may have tried to hide or deny. Moreover, your growth and movement forward act as a mirror for her own shortcomings or immaturity at the time of the relationship. When she sees you stronger, wiser, and more confident, it highlights the contrast between where you are now and where she is emotionally or mentally. This can create a sense of emotional turmoil because she realizes that she lost not only you, but also the chance to grow alongside you. It can be difficult to accept that while you have evolved and left the past behind, she might still be stuck in patterns that held the relationship back. This disparity can fuel feelings of regret and sadness, as well as a sense of loss that goes beyond just losing you. It's about losing the potential for what the relationship could have been. This questioning also often involves an internal battle between pride and vulnerability. On one hand, she may feel defensive and unwilling to admit that she made mistakes or that she underestimated your worth. On the other hand, the emotional truth that surfaces when she sees you've moved on can break through that pride, forcing her to acknowledge painful realities. This internal conflict can cause her to feel confused and conflicted, sometimes leading to mood swings, moments of self-doubt, or even attempts to rationalize her past behavior to protect her ego. The struggle is real and complicated because admitting fault or regret is never easy, especially when it involves deep emotions. Additionally, this period of questioning can lead to a reassessment of her own values and desires. She might begin to think more seriously about what she wants in a partner and in a relationship, realizing that perhaps what she had with you was more valuable than she gave it credit for. This realization can be bittersweet. She sees the qualities you brought to the relationship clearly now, but it comes at a time when you are no longer available. It's a moment of clarity that arrives too late, and that timing can add to her emotional pain. This questioning is not just about the past. It also shapes how she views the future. She may start to wonder if she will find someone like you again, or if she has missed her chance at a meaningful connection. The fear of being alone or of making similar mistakes with someone else can weigh heavily on her mind. At the same time, she may also wrestle with the idea of whether she even deserves the kind of relationship you represented. This complex mix of hope, fear, regret, and longing makes the questioning process emotionally exhausting but also pivotal. In sum, when a woman sees you've moved on, the questioning she experiences goes far beyond simple curiosity or regret. It's a profound internal reckoning with her past choices, her sense of self, and the emotional consequences of losing you. This process can shake her deeply, pushing her to confront uncomfortable truths about herself and the relationship, while grappling with the reality that you have moved forward without her. It's a difficult and transformative experience, filled with emotional complexity and nuance. When a woman sees that you have moved on, even if she doesn't reach out or say a word, she is often watching closely and quietly from a distance. This silent observation is a way for her to stay connected to a part of her life that has changed, to monitor how you're doing without directly engaging. It's a subtle but powerful form of emotional surveillance, where she looks for signs of your happiness, your new connections, and how well you are thriving without her. She wants to understand the story you are now living, even if she no longer has a role in it. This kind of watching is not always obvious to outsiders, but for those who have experienced it, it feels like an invisible tether that keeps her emotionally linked to you despite the physical or social distance. Social media often becomes the primary window through which she observes your life. In today's world, the curated glimpses of someone's daily experiences, their photos, their interactions, and their new relationships are all easily accessible. She scrolls through posts, stories, and updates, searching for clues about who you're spending time with, what you're feeling, and how your world is evolving. Every new picture or comment is dissected and analyzed, fueling a mix of curiosity, envy, and sometimes regret. This virtual watching can be both comforting and painful, as it provides a connection to you, but also a reminder that she is no longer part of your inner circle. Beyond social media, she might rely on mutual friends or acquaintances to gather information, consciously or unconsciously asking about your whereabouts or how you've been doing. This indirect way of keeping tabs on you can feel like a lifeline to the past, helping her maintain a sense of relevance in your story. It's a way of bridging the gap between what was and what is now, even though she's not actively participating in your current life. This behavior shows that while she may have accepted your absence on the surface, part of her still craves knowledge of your world and the role you now play in it. The act of watching quietly is often accompanied by a complex emotional undercurrent. On one hand, she may feel a sense of pride or satisfaction in seeing you happy and successful, knowing that you have moved past the relationship and are doing well. On the other hand, there can be an aching sadness or loneliness that accompanies this observation, a feeling of being left out or replaced. She might wrestle with feelings of jealousy, especially if she sees you with someone new or living a life that appears fuller and more vibrant than what you shared together. This emotional push and pull can create a confusing internal experience where she simultaneously wishes you well, but also feels a sting of loss. Watching you quietly also gives her time to process and understand the changes without the pressure of confrontation or immediate interaction. It allows her to absorb the reality of your moving on at her own pace, reflecting on what it means for her and for the relationship you once had. This distance can be a protective mechanism, giving her space to come to terms with her feelings privately before deciding whether or not to act on them. Sometimes this quiet watching is the precursor to a renewed attempt at contact, while other times it simply remains a silent acknowledgement of a chapter that has ended. In some cases, this silent observation can turn into a form of emotional addiction, where she repeatedly checks in on your life to soothe the ache of separation or to confirm that you are indeed moving forward without her. This cycle can be difficult to break, as the information she gains provides temporary relief from uncertainty, but also prolongs her emotional attachment. It's a delicate balance between wanting to stay informed and needing to let go, and walking this line can be exhausting and emotionally draining. Ultimately, the way she watches you quietly reveals the lingering impact you have on her life, even after you've moved on. It's a testament to the deep emotional imprint you left, and the difficulty she faces in fully releasing that connection. This silent vigilance is filled with layers of hope, regret, curiosity, and unresolved feelings, making it a complex and significant part of her emotional experience as she navigates your absence. When a woman sees that you have moved on, it often triggers a profound sense of acceptance and resignation deep within her, even if that acceptance doesn't come immediately or easily. This feeling arises from the unavoidable truth that life continues, that time moves forward regardless of wishes or regrets, and that you have chosen a new path, one that no longer includes her in the way it once did. Coming to terms with this reality is a significant emotional milestone because it means letting go of the hope that things might return to how they were. Acceptance is rarely a single moment. Instead, it unfolds gradually as she wrestles with her emotions, her pride, and her memories. It is the slow recognition that the chapter you shared has closed, and that the story must now move on without her as a main character. This sense of acceptance can be incredibly difficult because it requires confronting vulnerability and loss head-on. She must face the fact that the connection she cherished and invested in is now part of the past, no matter how much she might wish it were otherwise. This realization can evoke a mix of sorrow, nostalgia, and sometimes even relief, because the emotional turmoil of uncertainty or conflict may finally subside. In accepting that you've moved on, she acknowledges that the pain of holding onto what was is greater than the pain of letting go. It's a painful but liberating process that signals a shift from clinging to what's lost to opening up to what comes next. Acceptance also often brings with it a reevaluation of her own role in the relationship and its end. As she comes to terms with your moving on, she might reflect on her actions, her choices, and the dynamics that contributed to the breakup or separation. This reflection can lead to a deeper understanding of herself, her needs, and what she wants in future relationships. Acceptance, therefore, isn't just about acknowledging your absence, but also about learning from the past in a way that fosters personal growth. It can mark the beginning of a healing process, where she moves from pain and regret towards self-awareness and eventual emotional freedom. Sometimes, this acceptance manifests as a quiet distance rather than a dramatic farewell. She may no longer seek to intervene in your life or attempt to rekindle what was lost, instead choosing to respect the boundaries you've set by moving on. This distance is a form of respect for your decision, and a sign that she is ready to give you the space you need to live your life fully. Although it may feel lonely or bittersweet, this acceptance can be a powerful step toward mutual peace. It signals maturity and the ability to honor the reality of change, even when it's painful. Even as acceptance takes hold, it's common for her to experience moments of wistfulness or lingering sadness. Letting go doesn't erase the memories or the emotional imprint you left. Instead, it transforms the nature of those feelings from something raw and urgent to something more subdued and reflective. She may find herself occasionally reminiscing about the good times or feeling a pang of longing when reminded of your shared history. These moments don't necessarily contradict acceptance. Rather, they coexist with it as part of the complex tapestry of healing and moving forward. Acceptance also shifts the focus from what was lost to what remains possible. It opens the door for her to envision a future where she is not defined by the relationship or by your absence, but by her own strength and resilience. This shift can be subtle or profound, but it is essential for moving beyond the past. In this space, she may begin to rebuild her sense of self and explore new relationships, new passions, or new paths that were previously overshadowed by the connection she shared with you. Acceptance, then, is not just an end but a new beginning. The process of acceptance is rarely linear. It often involves revisiting feelings of anger, sadness, or denial before gradually settling into a place of peace. Sometimes external reminders, whether it's seeing you with someone new, hearing about your life from others, or simply acknowledging the quiet absence you've left, can momentarily unsettle this acceptance. Yet, over time, these moments become less disruptive as acceptance deepens and solidifies. She learns to carry the memory of your shared past without letting it control her present or future. Ultimately, the sense of acceptance and resignation she experiences when she sees you've moved on is a profound emotional transformation. It marks the transition from holding on to letting go, from yearning to understanding, and from attachment to freedom. This internal shift is a critical part of healing, allowing her to reclaim her own life and move forward in her own way, even as the echoes of what was continue to shape her experience. This acceptance doesn't erase the past, but it allows her to find peace within herself and to embrace new possibilities. It is the quiet strength that comes from understanding that some things are beyond control, and that true growth often begins when we release what no longer serves us. In time, this acceptance becomes the foundation for healing, self-discovery, and ultimately the freedom to love again, whether that's with someone new or simply with herself.